Dear students, today we'll start second chapter of history, New Kings and Kingdoms. This is the second chapter of your book, New Kings and Kingdoms. Let's start this chapter with this map. Major kingdoms 7th to 12th century. 7th to 12th century, it means this was the first half of medieval period in India. First half of medieval period in India. Emergence of many new dynasties. Look this map very carefully. Dear students, watch this video completely till the end so that you will understand better these topics. See this one. Okay. In central India, Gurjar Pratiharas were there, Rajasthan, MP. Chandelas were in Madhya Pradesh, Paramars, Anartas, and Chauhans in northern India. And Palas were in Bengal region. Palas. Rashtrakutas were in this region. It was big empire, Rashtrakutas. Earlier, these were the parts of Pandyas. Right? Here, Pandyas, we have to find Pandyas. Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas. All these three dynasties were in south along with Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas, Maharashtra, present day Maharashtra, some parts of Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka. This was the region of Rashtrakutas. And fluctuated frontiers means these areas, means boundaries. These boundaries were fluctuated because sometimes these were controlled by another dynasties, sometimes were controlled by another neighboring dynasties. So let's come to the first topic, the emergence of new dynasties. Now we'll study. By the 7th century, there were big landlords or warrior chiefs in different regions of the subcontinent. At that time, warrior chiefs, right? Big landlords, warrior chiefs were there, and they were declared or acknowledged as samantas or subordinates by existing kings. At that time, the kings used to acknowledge them as samantas or subordinates. They used to help the kings in ruling the particular area. They were expected to bring gifts for their kings or overlords and be present at their courts and provide them with military support also. Right? As samantas gained power and wealth, they declared themselves to be Mahasamanta. They declared themselves Mahasamantas or Mahamandaleshwara, the great lord of a circle or particular region. So these were the Samantas. Question can be asked that who were Samantas, right? And what titles they used to give themselves. So you have to remember these points. One such instance, one example is here, what that of Rashtrakutas in Deccan. Rashtrakutas, initially they were subordinate to the Chalukyas of Karnataka, right? They were under Chalukyas of Karnataka. But in the mid 8th century, around 750, Danti Durga, a Rashtrakuta chief, overthrew his Chalukya overlord and performed a ritual called Hiranyagarbha. The king who used to perform this ritual Hiranyagarbha, or literally known as golden womb. So when this ritual was performed with the help of Brahmans, it was thought to lead to the rebirth of that particular king of the sacrificer as a Kshatriya, even if he was not one by birth, right? But this was very important ritual performance that was done by various kings. So we have taken one example of Danti Durga, Rashtrakuta chief. In other cases, men from enterprising families use their military skills to carve out kingdoms. For example, Kadamba, Mayura Sharman, and Gujra Pratihara Harichandra were Brahmins who gave up their traditional professions and took to arms, successfully establishing kingdoms in Karnataka and Rajasthan respectively. In Karnataka, Kadamba dynasty, you have to remember this name, Kadamba dynasty. Why this known as Kadamba dynasty? Because Kadamba trees were located there in their empire, Kadamba dynasty. established in the 4th century, near 350 AD, in 4th century by Mayura Sharman, right? By Mayura Sharman. And same thing is about Gujra Pratihara, Harichandra, right? Both were Brahmins, but later they declared themselves and they left their traditional professions and declared themselves as Kshatriyas, and they ruled the big empires at that time in the middle period. Administration in the kingdoms. Many of these new kings adopted high sounding titles such as Maharaja Adhiraja, Great King, Overlord of Kings, and Tribhuvana Chakravartin, Lord of Three Worlds, and so on. However, in spite of such claims, they often shared power with their Samantas. As in the beginning of the chapter, we discussed about the Samantas, right? About Samantas, as well as with the associations of peasants, traders, and Brahmins. They were also sharing the powers of the king, right? And working as the subordinates of the king, Samantas. In each of these states, resources were obtained from the producers, that is, peasants, cattle keepers, artisans, who were often persuaded or compelled to surrender part of what they produced. They were compelled. Sometimes these were claimed as rent due to a lord who asserted that he owned the land. Revenue was also collected from traders. Revenue was collected from which people? Traders. From traders. 400 taxes were there. The inscription of the Cholas, Chola dynasty, who ruled in Tamil Nadu in south, refer to more than 400 terms for different kinds of taxes. For example, Veti, taken not in cash but in form of forced labor. Means Veti means the people had to work, right? They had to give their labor. And Kadamai, or land revenue, it was known as land revenue. There were also taxes on thatching the houses, right? Use of a ladder to climb palm trees, a cess on succession to family property. So these kinds of taxes were there. So these resources were used to finance the king's establishment as well as for the construction of temples. So the collection of taxes, right, led to the store of money, right? It was treasury of the king. So this kind of money was used to construct temples and forts, right? Also used to fight wars. In wars, expansion was there, so which were in turn expected to lead to the acquisition of wealth in the form of plunder, access to land, as well as trade routes, etc. So the functionaries for collecting revenue were generally recruited from influential families, and positions were often hereditary. So this was true about the army as well. In many cases, close relatives of the king held these positions. So these positions were held by kings and their relatives. Now, prashastis and land grants. What were the prashastis? Prashastis contain details that may not be literally true, right? Because these were written by the Brahmins and under the king. So, but they tell us how rulers wanted to depict themselves as valiant, victorious warriors. For example, these were composed by learned Brahmins who occasionally helped in the administration. Brahmins also occasionally used to help in administration to the kings. Achievements of Nagabhatta. This is about Nagabhatta's Prashasti. Many rulers described their achievements in Prashastis, and you also have read about, and you will about the Prashasti of the Gupta rulers, Samudragupta, in the 6th class. One Prashasti written in Sanskrit and found in Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh, describes the exploits of Nagabhatta, a Pratihara king, right? As follows. So you can read it. The kings of Andhra, Sindhava, Sindh, and Vidarbha, part of Maharashtra, and Kalinga, part of Odisha, and fell before him even as he was a prince. So this is the explanation in the this kind of prashasti as achievements of Nagabhatta, right? So these were prashastis. Kings often rewarded Brahmins by grants of land, and these were recorded on copper plates. which were given to those who received the land. To the Brahmans, land was provided. So this is the example, and you can see this figure of these kinds of copper plates recording a grant of land made by a ruler in the 9th century, written by partly in Sanskrit, partly in Tamil language, and the ring holding the plates together is secured with the royal seal. This is the royal seal. This is the royal seal to indicate that this is an authentic document. It is authentic document with this royal seal. Okay. What was given with the land? With the land, what thing used to be given? See this. This is a part of Tamil section of a land grant given by the Cholas. So it is written here that we can see we have demarcated the boundaries of the land by making earthen embankments as well as planting thorny bushes. This is what the land contains: fruit bearing trees, waterland, gardens, orchards, trees, wells, open spaces, pasture land, a village, antils, and platforms, canals, ditches, rivers, and silt laden land, and tanks, right? And these kinds of granaries, fish ponds, beehives, and deep lakes. These kinds of things also were given with the land. Unusual for the 12th century was a long Sanskrit poem containing the history of kings who ruled over Kashmir. It was composed by an author named Kalhana. Kalhana wrote Raja Tarangini. He used a variety of sources including like this inscriptions, documents, and eyewitness accounts and earlier histories to write his account. Unlike the writers of Prashastis, he was often critical about rulers and their policies. So this was the history of Kashmir in Raja Tarangini, written by Kalhan. Okay. So dear students, till now we have studied this chapter. I hope that you understood. And if you have any kind of doubt, you can write me in comment box. I'll give the answer. Thank you. Have a nice day.